Lovely to meet all of you. And would love, again, as you're coming into the webinar, would love to know how, if you are listening locally, if you're international, and if you've been to some of these webinars I've hosted before as well. So in line with International Women's Day and Women's Month, we celebrate women and the journey of women through leadership and personal growth. So this is a bit of a supplement or a follow-up to the webinar from International Women's Day. We're going to focus today on women and personal growth. So if there are some gents in the chat, definitely you can take this and apply this for your own lives as well. This is focused for women because there are so many roles that we play in life. And there are so many duties that we fulfill, especially culturally, if you are coming into Canada or already are in Canada and you're trying to juggle, your identity and trying to get grounded. Personal growth sometimes can fall by the wayside. And I am a big advocate of that. So I'll just give you again a bit of a background of who I am and what's happening here today in the next little while. We're going to talk about women and personal growth, and I've just divided it into a couple of sections because there is so much to talk about. Rewards and benefits, we'll cover some of those. Investment and time, and we'll talk about some of the things that you can't see based on my personal experience of what I didn't and couldn't see at the time that I was doing a lot of this personal growth work. What that and how that's rewarded me today. And I'm actually really excited to see how that is going to help me even in the next 5 to 10 years. So in terms of who am I, my name's Bhavini Patel, and somebody's chiming in from the Philippines. Welcome, that's so great. I am going to look through the chat as well as I go through this. So if I interrupt my own presentation to take a comment or two from the chat, I'll be glad to do that. So you can definitely look me up on LinkedIn, but just have a bit of a background in terms of what I was doing over the last, I'd say 6 years. I was an operations leader for Eastern Canada. And in terms of work experience, I worked in the leisure and corporate travel industry. I left before COVID, actually, so I didn't get affected by that directly. Skilled in operations and financial management, business growth, strategic planning and process improvement, focused and dedicated professional from York University, with continuing education, certifications, and credentials from reputable learning institutions. I'm a continuing education advocate, personal growth advocate, and I'll go through that as well in a minute. Over the past year, I created and building my own company called Be a Leader. And we focus on leadership tutoring, leadership training, and small business consulting, as well as accountability coaching. So that's what I've been focusing on in the last year. During the pandemic, believe it or not, this is one of the things I've been doing on the side. I am a caregiver to my dad, who has some health issues, declining health issues. And that was one of the reasons why I left my corporate career, was to be a full-time caregiver to my dad. A bit of background about that is my parents are born and raised in India. They moved to London, England, and then they moved to Toronto, Canada. So I and my sister and I were born in London, England, and then moved to Canada. So we do understand the immigrant journey. I've seen it from my parents. They are two-time immigrant movers, and I can definitely relate to a lot of what people go through, and especially children of immigrants, of what they go through as well. One of the other things I did during my pandemic time, and still I'm doing, I became a Bali X instructor, which is dance fitness inspired by Bollywood. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's keeping me healthy. And I've been able to develop that as a bit of a side business as well. And I also became a certified group fitness instructor. So that allows me to take BaliX to the fitness centers, to the parks and recs, whenever that opens up one day as well. So rewards and benefits. Keep in mind that a lot of this is accumulative over time. It is not an overnight accomplishment or win. Rewards and benefits, again, you can look at all of this on LinkedIn for sure. But this personal growth journey and continuing education journey has allowed me to develop and build a robust LinkedIn profile as well as a CV as well. Now, the company that I worked for in the past, I worked for them for 22 years. So I actually didn't have a CV or a resume, if you want to call it that, when I left the job. And so I started to put my resume together after I left 22 years of this amazing company. And I realized that I had accumulated so much education, supplemental certifications on the side while I was working in that corporate environment. So these are just some of the things that I've accomplished and currently have done in the past and are still doing. BaliX, for example, which is something that I'm currently doing. But these are some of the certificates and the courses and the awards and the organizations that I've been a part of listed here. So one of the rewards of personal growth and continued education is being able to accumulate over time a very robust, healthy, rewarding CV and list of credentials. So I'm not going to go through everything that I've been doing here. You can read it at your own leisure if you feel inclined to do that. But these are just some of the things that I do, from volunteering to the licenses and certifications that I hold, to the degrees for education, as well as some of the honors, accolades, and courses that I've taken here. So keeping in mind with rewards and benefits, we'll just go through these here a little bit more. CV, resume, LinkedIn profile, that all will accumulate over time with a lot of great credentials. Expanding your network through common interests. I currently on LinkedIn have about 800 plus connections. So I'm not going to talk about quantity over quality, but what I will talk about is the number of people you meet in your path over time that you have a common interest for, whether they were clients of mine in the past, colleagues of mine in the past, fitness colleagues of my new present reality. These build over time, and you find common mutual interests where you can help each other out or take advice and guidance from that person. This also helps you to increase opportunities to volunteer, be a mentor to somebody, become a mentee as well, opportunities for job shadowing, internships, the actual job, career, for your hobbies and health as well. LinkedIn is just one platform, so I'm just saying focusing on that right now, but there are so many other platforms out there where you could share and network with other people. Improve essential skills. So I believe everyone at some point will be or is familiar with the essential skills platform and all of those different things in that criteria. Anything to do with personal growth, continuing education will always help you improve your essential skills. And with those essential skills, if there are particular ones that you feel need to be strengthened, those are the ones to focus on. So that way you can elevate the credential of that particular essential skill. Another benefit is healthy self-confidence, speaking with confidence, and becoming an expert in your particular field. So the more you spend time learning and reading and connecting with people in your particular career field, or even if it's a hobby or a passion, excuse me, you will end up speaking with more confidence. You will end up becoming an expert in that field. Friends, if you're a newcomer to Canada or are looking to come to Canada, depending on where you're listening from here, friends, community, building a network, building a social circle, building healthy friendships is going to be important in your journey while you're here in Canada. And starting over is not always easy. So building friends through courses that you take, through online meetings, if you're joining a meetup group and you end up becoming friends with someone who has a common interest, those are some rewards and benefits for personal growth and continued education. Let's not forget the emotional reward, which is often perhaps underrated and not very much talked about, but is also not very tangible. We can probably see it in our face and our demeanor, but the sense of accomplishment and fulfillment that you get from completing a course, taking a course, enrolling in a course, meeting friends, having a very healthy conversation, becoming friends with that person where you're going for a walk or, you know, going out for dinner and things like that. So let's focus on not just pandemic times, but what this will accumulate to outside and afterwards as well. And one of the most important things is that it's yours and no one can take it away from you. There are struggles in so many of our lives as women, the roles we play, perhaps it's a relationship, perhaps it's family dynamics, perhaps 10 or 20 years from now, there might be some struggles with raising children, building a family. The education component, the personal growth component will always be your asset, will always be yours to take with you anywhere, to any job, to any conversation. It's yours. No one can take it away from you. So those are just some of the rewards and benefits of continued education and personal growth. Keep in mind that there are so many different aspects to it. It could be personal focused, professional focused, hobbies. It could be learning how to be a better spouse, a better friend. It could be counseling. It could be anything at all. It is a very broad subject, but personal growth and continued education, continued learning always has rewards and benefits that accumulate over time. Investment and time. So what I mean by investment is where you're choosing to spend your money. And again, this is a lifelong journey, I believe, with personal growth and continued education. I personally will always invest money into courses, into education, into developing skills, becoming more of an expert in certain fields so that I can be a leader in that field. I can stand out and I can be distinguished and be different. So over time, obviously budgeting and cost can sometimes be a factor where people, especially women, put themselves last on the list and don't invest the time and the money. I am an advocate of spending money and investing in education and continued education and personal growth. This is different for everyone. This is different for your family dynamics, for your family budgeting, as a newcomer to Canada, for what that budgeting may mean. But I highly recommend to identify where you're investing your money, where you're spending your money and keeping a portion of it for your own education, your own continued education through life, through your career, and for personal growth. So if you remember back to the second slide where I identified everything on my LinkedIn, everything that all the courses I've taken, aside from probably about 4, have been paid for by myself. I have focused and budgeted to make sure that I spend the money in the correct places that end up reinvesting in myself. So if some of you were at one of the at one of the webinars that covered leadership hacks, I mentioned a concept and a framework I went through called Begin with the End in Mind. So that again is something that I encourage everyone here today who's listening to this webinar, go back and to listen to that webinar, but also just work through that framework with beginning with the end in mind. Where are you placing focus? Where are you placing emphasis? Where are you spending the money and investing the money? And if personal growth, continued education is something that is dear to you, something that is important to you, then you can build your funnel. You can work through that framework and then invest the money accordingly for what you need to do. What's your preferred debt? So some of the conversations that we have as women, as family members, are touchy ones. Finance is not always an easy conversation to have. I recommend to start getting comfortable with those conversations, even with yourself and with those around you or those that may be involved in your life. Over time, there's a pretty good chance that at some point there will be a loan or a debt, aside from perhaps a mortgage or a car loan, aside from those big things that you might encounter. If you decide to go down the path of continued education, perhaps it's even going back to college to get a change in your career and get a new degree, a new diploma, a master's, a PhD, some sort of credential. It could just be ongoing investment. Know where you are willing and be comfortable to know where you are willing to take some debt and take some loss. There are so many things in this world materialistically that we could purchase with our money and invest in. And that's on yourself and your potentially your spouse or your family to decide where it is that you want to invest that money and where you want to be in debt and what you want to be in debt for, or take out a loan for, or a line of credit for. So just think about these things logically. Again, work through the begin with end in mind framework that will help you navigate some of these concepts and also take the emotion out of it, but think of it logically. The way that you would logically spend money on a home or a car or even a vacation, those things are important and are a part of life and part of building a life. But let's not also forget, as women, investing in ourselves for whatever that may be is also just as important. Building blocks and process and progress. So again, keep in mind that building continued education, personal growth wins are just parts of stepping stones and building blocks, and they're part of a progress journey. It's not an overnight win where we become an expert in our field. It takes quite a few years often, with a lot of research, a lot of connections, a lot of conversations, a lot of reading, to become an expert in a particular field or at a particular skill. So this is building blocks. It's about progress. Sacrifice or choice. Now, I use the word sacrifice in a very loose way, because if you are investing money and time you choose where you are spending your time and your money. Some people see it as a sacrifice. Some people see it as a choice. For me, particularly, an example would be I made a choice to study and take continuing education courses and spend a lot of my Sundays studying. I made a choice to spend my money in this particular field. I made choices. So those are things that I own. I made these choices logically because I knew that it would benefit me. Didn't know how just yet, but I knew that it would. Some people call it a sacrifice. Some people call it a choice. So sometimes it's up to yourself and the perception that you give the concept, and changing your perception that can actually help you navigate these tough choices and these conversations. Be intentional. So whatever it is that you're looking to develop, progress with, or for, be intentional about it. So becoming a Bali X instructor, for example, it came across on my social feed on Instagram. I don't know how, it's the algorithms of the world today. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, this would be incredible. And I really just sat on it for a couple of months. I didn't make any decisions. I thought about it, kind of went through, again, a bit of that sort of framework of, can I invest the money? How much is this going to cost me? What will I get out of it? How can I use it? How can I benefit from it? How can I give to others through it? I really sort of worked around what this meant. How much time do I have to invest? How much healthier do I need to be in order to be an example and a leader in health and fitness? And until I walked through all of those concepts and made some decisions, looked at every sort of aspect that had to do with becoming a Bali X instructor, only then I made the decision to go through with it. So I was intentional with what I wanted out of it. I was intentional even to this day with what I would like to get out of being a Bali X instructor and how I use this platform to bring women together, to bring awareness to fundraising initiatives, and to create a well-balanced lifestyle for people. So I am intentional. Whatever it is that you're looking to do at any point in time, try and be intentional with the purpose and with some outcomes of what you're trying to achieve. Only then will you feel some passion towards it. You'll build a plan, not just an immediate plan, but you'll build a long-term plan, and you'll sort of help develop that and roll it out almost naturally. So to cover some things of what you can't see, again, based on my experiences of all the continuing education that I did and a lot of the personal growth investment that I did, what you can't see are future opportunities. So often enough, as you're taking courses, as you are networking with people, what you can't see is what happens 10 years down the road and how that person may just be a person of influence for you. And this has happened to me in the past, where I will post something on a social media platform or have a conversation with somebody, and it has ended up being that person has either helped me or put me in touch with somebody else. So the connections and the future job opportunities are something that we can't see, but that accumulate and build in the background if we choose to network through some of the platforms. The people in your path, similar to what I had just mentioned, a lot of people that come through to your life 10, 20, 30, 5 years from now, You just don't know when they are able to put you in touch with the right person, when they are able to connect you with the right person. Sometimes in this day and age, with algorithms, with social media, with LinkedIn, sometimes you let that do the work for you once you build your platform and your profile, and sometimes things manifest and they blossom right on their own. And these are things that you can't see often enough. Mutual connections and more connections. I've been on LinkedIn since about 2004. I have had, as I mentioned, about 800 connections built over time. And I have conversations pretty much with everyone that I connect with. If I don't know somebody that has connected with me, I will ask them how they found me, why they think it's a good idea to connect. Gives you a bit of an understanding of that person, and what field they might be in. And sometimes you just don't know, again, if there are some mutual connections or mutual interests that might help you and develop. On the wrong way. Potential relocation. So there is a chance, and I've had this happen with my own family and a group of friends and even colleagues, you will move to Canada in the particular city that you're moving into, but perhaps your job or your spouse's job, or perhaps for other reasons, economic reasons, social reasons, you move and relocate to a different area of Canada, or even moving to a different country. And maybe you move back. But whatever the reason or the story is, 5-10 years from now, you won't be able to see that now, but potentially there might be a relocation in your future again. And with that relocation, the personal growth, the continued education that you work through can sometimes be your asset that is hidden in the back and help you with potential relocation, meeting new people again, starting over again, getting a job, becoming a mentor, volunteering. There are so many different benefits and things that you can't see of what can happen down the road. Helping the next generation. Now, this may be far-fetched for some of you, and maybe you can't see this yet. What I see are my nephews and my nieces on LinkedIn, on social platforms now. They are finishing university or currently in university or will be going to university. And what I'm able to do is, with my built up criteria of personal growth and continued education, what comes up, I'm able to share things and help them and give them recommendations, give them guidance, give them connections, connect them to other people, recommend courses, recommend platforms, all of that kind of support for the next generation. And again, for some of you, you may not be able to see this now, but this does exist. And I'm very thankful to be able to reach out to some of my nieces, nephews, again, globally, because of the platform that we are in today, and be able to connect them to certain courses, certain advice, mentors, relationship building, etc. Some of the things that you can't see as well is how your hobbies, your interests, your health can change and improve and develop over time. It may be something small that you start today, but it can end up building over time. And again, I'll bring up Bali X, but there are so many other fitness instructors that I have come across that started just making lifestyle changes very slowly, but then ended up creating a YouTube channel or an Instagram page, or ended up starting their own business, becoming personal trainers, dietitians, and that's just on the side. They have their corporate daytime job that they went to school for, but on the side, they've developed all these other skills. and they're able to make a business out of it, but more so help people. So sometimes what you can't see now is that your hobbies, the interests, the health changes, any of that now can actually end up helping you grow into and develop something for the future. Personal growth, continuing education, investing in yourself, even if it means just a book, reading a book that helps you and that uplifts you and that gives you some tools to deal with life, coping skills, whatever that may be. Those are things that can help build your confidence, and those can be a pick-me-up on a bad day. As women, again, we fulfill so many roles. There are so many things that we do, whether it's raising family, caring for seniors as they age, taking care of the kids, could be cooking, it could be dealing with cultural influences, multiple generations of families, a busy household. You're trying to learn the language, you're trying to navigate the Canadian culture. There are so many things that we do, and we all need a pick-me-up on a bad day. When you start to see how much progress you've made, when you start to see that you have accomplished a certification or a course, or it could be just something from a personal hobby, health side of life, don't take those for granted. They are your pick-me-up on a bad day. And lastly, growth, personal growth, whether it's professional, personal, as well as continued education, is the gift that you give yourself. Again, as women, we often put ourselves last. As immigrant women, as children of immigrants, cross-cultural demands, there are so many things and so many hats we wear. We often need to remind ourselves and ask ourselves, what is it that we are giving to ourselves? How are we helping ourselves? And this is sometimes a hard conversation to have, not only with ourselves, but with our family, with our spouse, with our kids, because we're always trying to put everyone first. This is a gift that we give ourselves. It doesn't mean that you're giving this to yourself today, tomorrow, but it could be something that you are planning to do a couple of years from now. It could be something that you decide when the kids are in school full time, this is what I want to do. You may have some newborns and some young children at home at the moment, and the balance is really off, and that's understandable. Perhaps give yourself a 5-year plan, and when the kids are in school full time, perhaps it's something that you can aspire to, and then you can use the framework of beginning with the end in mind and work backwards from there. Perhaps that's your time to save. Perhaps that's your time for self-discovery and figuring out which lane you wanted to go into, navigate all the different options, courses, location, costs, online versus in person, because I'm hoping 5 years from now, we're in a different environment where people can actually go out and take courses in person, in a venue versus online and virtual in our Zoom world that we're in right now. So it may not be today. This whole webinar may not even apply to you today, and that's okay. Think of it as something for the future, for the things that you cannot see that may happen, and what you want to manifest and what you want to be intentional about. So that is a little bit about women and personal growth. Again, I'm just going to take you back to this here. This comes with time. This comes with choice. This comes with sacrifice, if you want to call it that. While people were out partying, there were many nights and days that I did not do that, and I was studying instead or learning instead. This is personal choice, and it is not for everyone by any means. This is the path that I've decided to take. It is progress. and it is built over time. And honestly, there are the pick-me-up days that I also need when I look back at the accomplishments and the progress. And I look at this and I look at some of the connections I've made, and I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed for so many grateful opportunities, including this one right here with ACCESS, through connections, through relationships, and through career. So keep this in mind as something that you might see 10, 20 years from now. As I mentioned, this all started accumulating when I was in university. So this is late 90s here and onwards. So that's just a little brief summary about what I believe are investments with your time and all the benefits and rewards that you can get out of personal growth and continued education. So I'll hand it back over to you, Sonia.
Thank you, Bhavini. Just in time for some questions here. So everyone will get you to type your questions into the Q&A tab found at the bottom of your screen. All right, I'm just looking at some questions. I'll give some people a few minutes to start typing in some questions. What do you suggest if someone wants to totally change their career? So looks like Fatima here has a bachelor's in tourism from Iran and really wants to work in a bank. What steps do you think that she needs to take?
So one of the first things I would probably do is assess the ins and outs of that new career. What does working in a bank mean? Sometimes it could mean starting at the teller level and then working your way up. Does it mean customer service on the phone? If so, does that mean that there are communication skills, numeracy skills, digital skills that need to be enhanced? So I would really sit down and look at current job descriptions of that particular job that you're looking to achieve or perhaps get into. Break down what's in that job description or the requirements for that job. And usually on Indeed or on those, I believe on the banks as well, on their own websites, they have a lot of those job postings. But take a look at the job posting, the description, the requirements, and then take a look at what you need to fulfill that. And if that, again, a choice, if that is what you want to do, where you want to spend your time, your money, and your efforts, if that's where you want to go. And that's just not for banking, but that would be for any career choice or any change in career. Get onto Indeed or on that company's website and take a look at what it's all about, what the requirements are, what the description is, and then look at what you need to get that in order to even apply for that job. That's where I would start.
Vini, you cut out for a minute. Do you want to repeat what you said?
Oh, sure. Okay, so I was recommending to find the job description or the job posting for a job that you are interested in, and then taking a look at the requirements as well as the job description. And with the job requirements, if there is something or qualifications that you don't currently have and are looking to achieve that, then you want to assess, and with the next step is cost, time, and interest. You know, are you passionate about getting a diploma in business or commerce or business administration or accounting even? Find out what it is that you need to get that job, and then assess for yourself if you want to go down that path to achieve it if you don't have those qualifications yet. Did that come out okay?
Yes, thank you
Okay,
so much.
no problem.
If anyone has any more questions, I'd love for you to type them into the Q&A tab. If not, then maybe Bhavini, do you want to just kind of summarize and go over the presentation today?
For sure. There was Abby in the chat versus a Q&A. I'm just looking at the chat now. Abby has asked, how can we balance or find time to study when we have to take care of a family? And that is a fantastic question. You are probably not the only one who feels that same way or shares that sentiment. What I can recommend, and again, this is based on everyone's personal dynamic in their own home, is to have excuse me, have a conversation with the family, with your partner, with your spouse, with regards to goals and with regards to what you want to achieve for the future of not only yourself but for your family. So perhaps it's not just yourself that is looking to study, perhaps your partner is looking to study as well. How do you schedule that in? How do you schedule in the kids, the activities? It is almost like having a family meeting, and I think I had mentioned this at one of the other webinars as well, is having a logical family discussion and a family meeting about what your life and what your goals are as a family, but also as individuals. And again, maybe that studying goal is not today while your kids are young. There are many people who try to fit that in, um, but some of them do take some planning years, and then once the kids are in school full time, then they dive right into studying and do that full time, or balancing it out by working and then studying in the evening or on the weekends. So again, it's a conversation piece that is very personal and very particular to each family unit, but I would recommend to have that family dialogue so that you can put your goals out there, you can work on building a plan financially, from a time commitment, and from having your needs met, especially as women. I hope that answers a little bit of the question and also just gives some ideas as well.
Thank you so much, Bhavini. It looks like we're at the end of the session here. I'll let you wrap up and then I'll share my few slides at the end.
Yeah, definitely. So again, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, send me a note when you reach out, and just let me know that you heard the webinar, even if you are hearing this either live right now today or are listening to a recording. Be a Leader, which is a little bit about the company that I started, is a consultancy, and we assist with leadership tutoring for emerging leaders, the next generation, for existing middle management as well, with a confidential, safe space that women can come to and receive leadership tutoring and training. We also do small business consulting. So if you have a small business that you're looking to either start or revamp, we can guide and point you in the right direction. Accountability coaching as well, keeping you on tabs of what it is that you need to accomplish. And I have a meetup group for Bali X. If you are looking to get some dance fitness into your life, please feel free to again contact me on LinkedIn and I can send you the meetup group details. Thank you again, Sonia and the team at ACCES for having me. And I hope that this was helpful in some way, open to discussion and conversations after this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just quickly share my screen here and just go over. So the next webinar coming up is on Monday, next Monday, March 29th. It's by RBC, and they will be focusing on the tax season and how to do your taxes. So if you are interested, please sign up. And like as I mentioned earlier, all of our programs are being held online currently. And if you are interested, go to our website, and then you can, if you are eligible, you can attend our programs virtually. You don't have to come in. And if you'd like to practice speaking your English conversation skills, you can sign up for Online Talk English Cafe. We will be posting next month sessions towards the end of the month, so stay tuned. And if you'd like someone to start helping you with your job search, you can call your closest ACCES location and someone will be happy to start helping you. If you are on your way to Canada in the next few months, I encourage you to email cec@accessemployment.ca to see if you'd be eligible for any of these programs here. And thank you all for attending today. We are very active on our social media on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. You can follow us and see what's going on at ACCES, to see what webinars are coming up. And Bhavini, was great having you. We'd love to have you back. And like as she mentioned, you can get in touch with her to see what she's up to in the coming weeks as well. Thank you all.